Here we are on the program Jones and Company in the final segment of the program today, and Mr. Leslie Miller, our guest on the program today. This is an interesting political season, Mr. Miller.
Certainly is.
It is just over a year before the scheduled election, or elections are supposed to be held by May of
Yes,
2017, and we see things heating up. The chairman of the Free National Movement admitted that he was on the payroll of Save the Bays.
Yes.
That is curious. What do you think will happen there?
I don't know. I believe that as many of our other speakers, especially the ministers, get up and speak. Mr. Fitzgerald spoke this afternoon. The Deputy Prime Minister hasn't spoken yet. The Prime Minister, who's going to wrap up, it's going to be interesting to see what is revealed in these tapes. It appears to me that the chairman of the Free National Movement has an explanation to give to the Bayman people. I mean, how could you be associated with a group that you know is there for one reason? You know, politics is one thing, but it shouldn't be under the guise that you're trying to save our shores, that you're trying to save the bays, when you're really trying to get rid of a government. And you must ask the question now, how deep is the FNM entwined in this saga with these people out at Lightfoot Key? I mean, how deep do they go? And who gave the chairman this authority to get mixed up with this group as chairman of the Free National Movement? I think he has explained his own party as to how these things transpired and what role he played in this situation. Is embarrassing, really, I think, to all of those that Mr. Fitzgerald called today that are members. It's very embarrassing, most embarrassing and humiliating that they're now before the public domain in a very negative way, in a way that has now the police investigating, because all of them have to be spoken to now by the authorities to get to the bottom of it.
So Save the Bays really wasn't interested in conservation.
Save the Bay their main focus appeared to us was to be to get rid of the Progressive River Party, a government that was elected, duly elected by the people of our country on May 7th, 2012. That was their prime purpose.
I heard on Issues of the Day on Thursday,
Yes.
Save the Bays referred to as a super PAC.
Well, I guess like the major super PACs in the United States that has millions upon millions of dollars, who pretty much control the Senate in the United States of America, as well as the
Congress.
Congress and most state officials. I mean, look at what sort of money that one man, Bremen, pumped into Rubio's campaign. He spent $5 million of his own money on Romeo, on the guy that dropped out 2 days ago. So, you know, in the United States of America, it costs a congressman or a senator about $50 million to run an effective campaign. Presidential campaign costs you $1 billion now. That's what Obama and those spent the last election. This time we're looking at spending about $2.5 billion, both sides combined, would spend that kind of money. So a very wealthy American writing a check for $10 million is no big deal.
It brings us, it's a good segue, Mr. Miller, to talk about the contribution of Peter Nygaard
Yes.
To the Progressive Liberal Party. There's no doubt that he contributed to the campaign of the PLP. Hasn't that clouded the whole issue?
You know, I'm not familiar with what Mr. Nygaard contributed to us and didn't contribute. I know I got T-shirts. In fact, we paid for most of our T-shirts. I get my contribution from local sources, Bahamians of color, as well as my white brothers and sisters that contribute to my campaign. But I'm sure that we probably got funding from most of the normal sources that one would have gotten it from. But this fight between Mr. Bacon and Mr. Nygaard really centers around his home and the things that he did with regard to I guess, and I don't see it as a big deal because, you know, as a youngster running track with the late great Tommy Robinson and Kevin Johnson, my good friend who has passed, every morning Tommy had us meet him over the Paradise Island Bridge over on Cabbage Beach at 5:30 a.m. every morning.
Running the
5
sand.
days a week, running in the sand.
You forget Henry Crawford.
On Henry Crawford, and there was a lot of rocks. What Nygaard did was really got a tractor, eliminate the rocks and made it into beach, and then put more beach. In other words, he extended his property into the water. I don't see no big deal about that because it really didn't cause any harm to the environs that is around him. And this happens every day. If you go on Cabbage Beach now, you see no rocks. Remember on the end, on the point. The whole point was rocks. And the people on Paradise Island was allowed to mash up the rock, turn it into a beach. They bought sand and built a beautiful beach. I see nothing wrong with what Mr. Nygaard did as far as enhancing his property. Remember, he's not enhancing it to sell the property. He lives there.
Should the government have given Mr. Nygaard permission?
Listen, you know, it's interesting you
on-
asked
on
that
that?
question. When I was chairman of town planning from 1991, 90 to 92, Mr. Nygaard approached me and I gave him his first approval to do work on his house and his surroundings. In fact, people should know that the property that is in question, that property was bought from Shirley Oaks Butler. I used to work for Shirley Oaks Butler, God bless her, and Alan Butler. And they sold that property to Mr. Nygaard. I used to be at that place sometime on the weekends. It's a beautiful place. To me, what Mr. Nygaard attempted to do was to enhance the beauty of the property, but some are saying in Parliament that as if the government had this property out at Lightfoot Key, and someone in the government gave Mr. Nygaard property. The government has no property in Lightfoot Key. What he did was expand his property by purchasing sand on all of the rocks and putting out the seawall
retaining
to
seawall.
retain
Yeah.
the sand that was there.
And the sand that was retained is called accretion, right?
Right.
And this accretion, they are calling that crown land.
But listen, in most areas of the Bahamas, and indeed throughout the United States of America, to stop the ocean and the elements from eroding your beaches, that is done almost on a daily basis. In fact, the United States government pressure you to do it.
Right.
To preserve your beaches. You go to the Carolinas, where they have the most prettiest beaches in the world and the most expensive homes in the world up in the Carolinas. That is what they do every single day. I didn't say there's a big deal. This is why I'm saying this whole concept of Save the Bays had nothing to do with Nygaard. It had to do with the fight between he and Mr. Bacon. So the whole thing was born out of this fight. And the only way to get the money in there was to have this association that you want to save the bays. What bays are you saving? What bays? There's no bay to save. The man put beach out there where there was rock. He might have expanded a little or maybe a lot. But he wasn't infringing on no land that was owned by the government.
Did it impact Jaws Beach?
I saw no erosion of it when I went there. It's right next door to Joe's Beach.
Yeah.
How could it impact it if his property is about a half a mile away?
I understand.
How? But you know, these group of Bahamians who wanted a freebie, most of them wasn't working, and they saw an opportunity for them to make some money. So you went to a guy who's angry with the other guy, you start this war, and you are the beneficiaries. But these fellas, the Americans, as well as Mr. Nygaard, them don't understand. When it comes to the average, maybe we sell our ma for a couple of dollars. They got to understand that. And look who outsmart them. Two guys out of Baintown, for Christ's sake. Two fellas from the bottom. Make the damn guy who was a former FBI chief, one of the chief fellas, look like a jackass. Two little corn fellas showed him how to corn. I mean, it's a disgrace.
Two fellas from Bay
Man,
Town.
two of the brothers from the bottom.
Outsmart all of
I
them.
say from the bottom. And I understand got hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, I mean, all those guys must feel bad that these two fellas never went to college, you know, regular fellas off the streets, but they got street smarts. And they decided this giant fighting this giant, let David slip right in the middle, get a couple of dollars, and they're all happy. And that's what happened. They got jammed, they got corn.
What should the government have done, Mr. Mayor? Should the government have, should you give Mr. Nygaard permission as he sought? This is a man who wanted to rebuild his house that was destroyed by fire.
Yes.
And there are a good number of people who believe that this feud has blossomed or mushroomed because of inaction on the part of the government.
If I had to make that call, Mr. Jones, as minister responsible for works, I would have given him permission without any hesitation at all. You had the studies done with environmental effect. It showed that there wasn't no substantive erosion. And most of what these people were saying that he did was in fact false. There was no reason why he should not have been given permission to do what anyone would have done under the circumstances. The man is a major investor in the Bahamas. He has contributed to most of the charities in this country, especially sailing and what have you. See, and remember, this man has been here for the last 40 years. His mother, God bless her, was buried on our shores. You know, that's the love that they had for this country. So what is the big deal? I just don't see it. I would not hesitate in giving him permission to have done what he did as a minister in the government.
You know, the Bahamas,
And he ain't never given me a penny, by the way.
the Bahamian government prohibit Marcona Ocean Industries
Yes.
from exporting aragonite to Florida.
That's your son.
Right, because they were using the aragonite to replenish their beaches.
All the beaches in Florida, in the Carolinas,
Yes.
all of the eastern
Beach
seaboard of the
replenishment.
United States, that's what Macone Ocean Industries did.
Right.
They sold it to AES, and that's a normal thing. Paradise Island bought all of their sand from them to refurbish their beaches. There was no big deal.
Right.
That's why the whole thing was done undercover to say that this group is so concerned about our welfare and the future of our beaches for Bahamians. Well, you know, it's amazing, eh? Why don't these same people at Life at Key allow us, the little ones of color, to go frolic on their beaches? If they love us so much and they're so concerned about the beach, why is it that we can't go there on the weekends or on holidays, go through the gate, go to any big yard that they have there, and go have a picnic? Okay, if they love us so much, why would you have this love for me? Let me go use your beach, please, because I ain't getting none. Why would they not do that? The whole thing is a travesty. You know, the two big boys fight, and the government unfortunately got caught in the middle of it, and it's really sad because, you know, it hurt us internationally with bad press, and I'm hopeful that the Prime Minister, once we finish this situation with the police, that it'll clear the air, and those responsible will pay on whatever price is necessary
But
to enable it not to happen again.
You have a number of issues before the Supreme Court, judicial reviews over these same type matters.
Yeah.
And so you have the courts involved, and I believe in some cases the hands of the government are
Tied right now because don't forget even
Because of these
they have the Prime
judicial
Minister in court
reviews.
too, you know. But again, that was hatched and carried out explicitly for the purpose of stopping Mr. Nygaard from doing whatever it was he attempted. So it shows you that this pettiness emanated between these two men, and the government got caught in the middle. And that's why I say if I was the minister responsible, I would have given his permission that Davy win the election. I don't care if he made a contribution or not. And I have never gotten a contribution from Mr. Nygaard or no other foreigner, by the way. My contributions come from my Bahamian brothers and sisters, black and white alike. But I would have given him permission to do what he did, which I think enhanced the value, not the value so much, because people of that magnitude, the kind of money he got, he can go anywhere and buy a beach, right? But enhanced the value of the place that he lived.
Having been here for over 40 years,
Yes.
And having been a part of the community and have,
He has involved himself
Yes.
intimately in our lifestyle.
yes,
The other guy is a casual visitor, as with all the Kennedys, the Mellons, the Hunts. I mean, anybody of any moneyed American has a home in Old Fort Bay or Life at Key. And they come here really because of our lovely beaches. They just take it easy and cool out. But Mr. Nygaard has decided to become involved in the social life, in the social fabric of our country. And I think that over the years he's done an outstanding job in assisting and in contribution to the welfare of our people. That's more than what you can say. Mind you, a lot of people in Life at Key makes contribution. You don't hear about it. It's like Mr. Moscow, man I love, Brother George and his family, Jimmy, and all of his brothers and those. If people know the contribution that they make to this country on a daily basis, with the Red Cross, Salvation Army, the School for the Blind, the Children's Hostel, they pretty much assist those people in a way that they couldn't survive without their contribution. You don't hear anything about it, and they get angry when I talk about it,
Yeah.
because they don't want you to talk about it.
but you can appreciate the frustration of Peter Nygaard, having said all that you just said,
Yes.
when he did not get permission for what he needed
Yeah.
at Life at Key, and you a whole lot of people have criticized him for certain statements that he made.
But he had the right to be frustrated. Listen, if an organization come to me and say, listen, man, I need your assistance to get some things done. Fellas, listen, I have this problem pending here. This is what I've done to my property after my home was ravaged by the hurricane. I'm trying to rebuild. This is what I put out here. Other people have done it. I have a fight with my neighbor next door, whoever this guy is, and he doesn't want me, so he continued to block me from getting what I believe is my just due to enhance my property. Not the value, because I could go anywhere in the world and buy property. What was the big deal to begin with? I didn't see this a big deal at all. If it was me, I would have given permission. They had to fire me. And I never got a dime from it because it was the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Given all that is happening in the political firmament of the Bahamas, Mr. Miller, and with just over a year to go before elections, how do you look? And how does the Progressive Liberal Party...
Before you get there, let me ask you another question.
Let's say he's cutting me off in the middle.
No, this is a fundamental question.
But anyway, go ahead.
Are you going to run?
I will run with God, spend my life in the next one. This will be my last time. I've been there now I've been in 6 elections straight.
Why do you want to run again?
6.
Why?
People want me to
You
run
just
again.
love it, eh?
No, listen. The ability and the goodwill that I get from representing my people in Tall Pines, I've been there since 1982, Mr. Jones. 82. And the love that we have with each other and camaraderie. When I see the little kids who was 2 and 3 years old, when I first ran, that are now men and women and doing well in this country. And every time we lose an election, they come back to me and apologize. Because whoever take my place don't do anything. That's why I'm here. Every single one of them say, Mr. Miller, and don't forget now, whenever we lose, the government lose. The Prime Minister asks me every day, Ella, you go win? I said, yeah, you better hope I damn it. Because if I lose, you lose. If we win, the government win.
Yeah.
Because I believe that we have done a job, my team and I, that is second to none as far as representing the people in our area. They know I'm there for them. They know I'm going to do the work. I'm going to get things done on their behalf. I'm going to speak out, even sometime it'll get me in trouble with my party, like today, talking about BC. They can get mad at me for that, but such as it is, I believe in those things firmly. I believe we should win the next general election. My main concern, Mr. Jones, is 2 things. Bahama must get started again. I spoke on it on Monday, and I proposed to the government of Bahamas that we may have to go back to what we did in 1983, 86, when the Emerald Beach, the Balmoral, and Sonesta Beach was closing.
Take it over?
The government then formed the Hotel Corporation of Bahamas and took those properties at the buy them because they were going to lay off 3,000 Bahamians. With Bahama closing the manner in which they did, I proposed on Monday that what the government should do, Tuesday, I think what the government should do is put up $300 million. We could raise that easy. They raised in 750 for BC. Million. Put up $300 million, go with the Ismailian group again, who started Bahama, finish Bahama because we still have the lease on that property. See, the one thing the Chinese can't get, no helicopter that I know of could lift them damn hotels off our shores. Them hotels there to stay. They ain't going nowhere. But if we let them stay there and the erosion takes effect, the elements get into those hotels. The trouble you're going to have to reopen them is going to cost you another $200 and $300 million. The government should now step in, find the financing, go to China, listen, man, we intend to finish this project. You will either sell the property, allow us to get someone to manage the property in collaboration with you, but it is unfair for the Chinese government through the Import-Export Bank and the China Construction to be here constructing a new entity on Bay Street. Leave this one all alone as it is and have this stuck on our shores. You have an obligation to our people. We have an obligation as a government to see to that project is completed and open. That's my view. And I think the government needs to step in now and say, listen, we're going to put this money in there along with this Marillion. We're going to finish this project for whatever it takes and get it done. I will not wait no longer for the Chinese. Crime is a situation that got to be arrested. You know, one of my constituents, some sons got killed last week, Friday. The young Bahamians today lacks humanity. There's no love in them. And I believe Mr. Johnson and Mr. Mr. Ennis and Mr. Jones. I think this stem in part from what Keith Bell said a few years back, about 2 years ago. He said that the United States government, Canada, and the UK sent to our shores over 1,200 hardened criminals, murderers, rapists, armed robbers, child molesters, and the like. We don't know who those people are, but we know one thing, they are here among us.
Yeah,
Most of them were not Bahamians, by the way.
Yeah, 24 came in last week.
Most of them were not Bahamians. But there's the man, all the United States government, my brother, now you done murder. You done served you 30, 40 years. Where you from? Where the hell do you think the fellow is? I'm from Jamaica. You think the guy that stupid? We have to arrest crime. Another bad situation, I just came from Princess Margaret Hospital. I have a friend there with NHI and what have you. It pains my heart that in the Princess Margaret Hospital, as we speak, the people who are being served in that institution with our money, 50% of them, at least 50% of them, are foreigners. We are spending all our money on people that are not Bahamians. I don't have nothing against nobody. But they got to pay for our services. We cannot continue to be the bread basket for the rest of the Caribbean and Haiti. We are spending too much of our money to take care of other people. It's not fair to this country that Bahamians who struggle every day of their lives spending our hard-earned money to take care of somebody else. These countries got to fend for themselves. We got enough of our own problems. We must, NHI must come. And I have a buddy of mine who had a quadruple, I guess it's 4 instead of 3. Bypass.
Oh, bypass.
He went to the institution. They told him on Friday the bill was $48,000. Everybody pitched in. He had his own money. Said, yeah, man, we got to make a contribution. When he went into the hospital on Monday to do the operation, to his surprise, they said, listen, you owe us another $6,800. Where I can get it from? Already raised all the money. He had no insurance. I just saw him. In fact, when I leave him, I'm going to see him in the hospital before I go back to Parliament. Very successful businessman. The pressure that is put on us as a people when one of our family members or friends gets sick, it is not fair.
I had a cousin who died,
Okay.
who had to stay on a gurney for 5 days. You know that?
Yeah.
Yes, Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
It is not fair. We must bring in national health insurance, sir. We must do it. Insurance companies, the cartel out there. We know they're devoid of a conscience. They don't care if you live or die except for you to write a check before you die. The Bahamian people must be smart enough to know that these self-centered groups, just like some of the people I spoke of with the unions, they are only looking out for their own best interests.
Mr. Miller, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Always.
Appreciate being here today.
Thank you.
Referee, thank you.
Thank you.
We have just scratched the surface, really,
Yes, sir.
because I know you have a whole lot to say, and perhaps we can do the rest on one of the radio shows.
No problem.
Thank you for watching and listening to our program today. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. That's it.